a series of virtual true story readings based on original web novels. Hello, everyone. I'm a woman in my early 50s. I've lived my whole life as a wife and a mother. Today, I'd like to share with you the story of a husband and his family, a story that completely shook my life. This story is my confession of how I, an ordinary housewife, lost everything, got back on my feet, and faced the truth. My husband, Chaelmin, has had a big dream about business since he was young. A few years after having a child, he quit his job and started his own business. My husband's young and energetic. Appearance was a source of great pride to me. The business prospered, and our family enjoyed a prosperous life. We moved into a big apartment, and the kids could have whatever they wanted. My husband took my hand and said, "Honey, from now on, we'll only walk on a flowery path," and I believed him completely. But the time of success was not long. In 2008, like the global financial crisis, my husband's business collapsed in an instant. The business reports he brought back were full of deficit and debt. Every night, my husband would come home, drunk, and bow his head to me saying he was a manager at a large corporation, but suddenly returned home with a massive debt of 1.5 billion won. Debt collection calls kept coming in. My husband was in despair, unable to leave the house to avoid debt collectors, and having given up on everything. The children were confused by the situation, where they lost everything overnight. I am at a crossroads. Should I just sit here and do nothing? Or should I build this family? I chose the latter for the sake of my children. My husband had already collapsed, so I had no choice. But to become the head of the household, I started working as soon as I could. I washed dishes at a restaurant in the morning and worked as a cashier at a supermarket during the day. I even drove for someone else at night. I only slept 3 or 4 hours a day. I paid off the debt. My husband had to shoulder for 15 years on my own. When I got a debt collector's call, I spoke confidently. "I will pay it all back." Please wait a moment. My husband always felt sorry when he saw me like that. When I came home from work, she would make me a warm soup and say, "Honey, I'm so sorry. If it weren't for you, our family would have been in trouble." I believed in his sincerity. Yeah, this guy must be having a hard time too. If I overcome this hardship together, our love will become stronger. 10 years passed, and I paid off 1 billion won of the 1.5 billion won in debt. One peaceful day, while organizing my husband's study, I stumbled upon a hidden box. Inside was a document that read, "Lottery winnings of 2.5 along with a copy of the bank book." My mind went blank. I couldn't believe it. I collapsed on the spot. My husband won the lottery? And that was right at the time when my family was suffering. Under a mountain of debt? I looked closely at the bank book statements. My husband transferred the winnings from his own name to someone else's, invested some in real estate, and even donated some to charity. He was reported in the media as an anonymous donation angel. My husband was known to others as a kind and wealthy man, but to me he was a man who brought hell to me and my children. I also learned an even more shocking fact. My husband was using that money to live a secret life of his own. I was struggling to make ends meet, driving an old van for hire, while my husband was driving a luxury foreign car and dating a young woman. Something I couldn't even imagine. In a world I couldn't see, my husband was living a perfect, double life. The 1 billion won in debt I had to pay off over the past 10 years by working myself to death. Small change in his eyes. I went to my husband and told him the whole truth. My husband was initially flustered, but then he started yelling in a fit of rage. "So, I could have paid off your debt with that money? Why are you making a fuss about it? Do you know how miserable I was because of you?" He was screaming at the top of his lungs and barking with an expression as if he was going to kill me at any moment. For a moment, he looked like the devil incarnate to me. There was no point in further conversation. I immediately started divorce proceedings. I handed over the evidence I had collected to my lawyer. The sordid truth behind his 10-year devotion was
including his
revealed in
husband's
court,
lottery winnings
real estate
overseas.
investment records, and even proof of his relationship with a younger woman. My husband lost everything. Everything was taken away from him. There's a rumor that he's barely making ends meet at a homeless shelter near Seoul Station. Also, I heard that the woman who used to drive a foreign car with her ex-husband happily was caught pickpocketing at a department store and sent to jail. When I see things like this, I think of the old saying that injustice never wins. Anyway, now I'm alone. But I'm not lonely anymore. The work I started to pay off my husband's debt gave me the precious gift of independence. I grew the small business I was running and am now the CEO of a full-fledged company. I paid off my family's debt with the money I earned, and now I live for myself. My son has grown up and become my strongest supporter. I know now. True success is not about relying on others, but about standing up for yourself. And true happiness is not about relying on others' success, but about creating it through your own efforts. If you think my story has sparked a little hope in your life, please subscribe and like. We earnestly request that you press the like button and leave many comments. I believe it is my duty to always repay your active interest and consideration with more interesting and useful content. A series of virtual true story readings based on original web novels. See you next time. Thank you. Rest in peace.